How's it going, everybody? Sam Norris with Progressive Lawn Service. Just want to go over real quick today how I sharpen and maintain my lawnmower blades. I use the All American Sharpener Model 5005. This is a jig to put your blades in so you can get the proper angle to adjust them and make sure that they are sharp. And this is the Magnamatic Mag-1000 blade balancing instrument. So take a look, guys. So let's go ahead and talk about this sharpening jig real fast. This is the All American Sharpeners Model 5005. Now, All American makes several different model number blade sharpening jigs. This is their more high-end one. This one allows you, on the bottom here, you twist this dial and you can indicate what angle you want your blade sharpened at. It clicks into place. It's very, very secure. It's very nice. Now, when you go to mount this jig on top of a table or whatever you're mounting it to, you can either mount it like I have it to the front here, or you can flip it and mount it to the top. Now, this arm, as you guys can see, this arm moves up and down. What you do is you take your angle grinder, fasten it like so, and when you have your blade on here, all you do is work up, make upward passes. That's how you sharpen the blades. It works very well. It's always going to give you that true angle. It's never going to move, versus to where if you were using, like, say, a vice grip, you're never really going to be able to get that accurate angle. I know a lot of people say it works, and it does. It will work for you. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at this. So here we have the actual surface where your blade will rest, right in here. These 4 screws here on the corners, you can adjust in and out for the thickness of whatever blade you're putting in here. As you can see, the tightening handle, it's basically just a screwdriver handle. But what this allows you to do, when you place your blade in here, you tighten this down, your blade rests right under here, and that will actually hold your blade in place. It's very tight. It's not going to go anywhere. It gives zero room for error. And you can adjust all the way out for whatever blade you're running. It goes out pretty far. We won't undo it all the way. Let's go ahead. And here on the front, you can see we have All American Sharpener Model 5005. Now, the set screw I was talking about on the back that you adjust, you simply loosen it. And now when you grab your handle, you can almost hear it clicking into place. It simply allows you to adjust for whatever angle that you want to sharpen your blades at. I believe between 30 and 35 is industry standard. Now, the arm that is on this, stainless steel, it's very nice. Let's talk about this real quick. So when you have your angle grinder on this jig, you can adjust this in and out. And what that is going to allow you to do is to account for different style blades. You might find that if you're running a narrower blade, you might have to move this in a little bit more just to make sure that your angle grinder blades actually line up and can actually sharpen the blade. Now, my first step in balancing a blade before I ever even put it on the actual jig and begin to sharpen it is ensuring that the blade isn't out of balance after it's been being used. What I mean by that is, here we have a Mag-1000 blade balancing instrument. Now, this is an extremely accurate tool to ensure that your blades are balanced. It will not stop working until your blade is truly 100% balanced. Now, what I use is the top of my shed here. I know that my shed is perfectly level, so as long as my blade sits perpendicular to that 2x4 up top, I know that it's balanced. But before we do that, let's take a look at how to make sure that the blade isn't out of balance before you ever even begin sharpening. So let's take a little up close look at this Magnamatic Mag-1000. Here we have the actual wheel that you use to balance, and this is the indicator that I was talking about. This simply folds away when you're trying to make sure that your blade is actually balanced. So what we're going to do to begin with is we're going to take the actual blade Make sure it lines up on there like that. Now if you'll notice, it's not perfectly centered. What you do is you push back on it until it can't go back anymore. You want to make sure that it's actually on there very tight. So we'll go ahead and set this just like this, and we'll bring this down, and what we're going to do is pull this off the wall just like that. Now you want to make sure that this piece, without interfering with stopping the blade, as you can hear, just barely nicks it right there. So that side, you can hear it's interfering a little bit more. So this means that this blade is borderline out of service. You're going to have to take it out of service probably after one more sharpen, and it's not going to be any good anymore. As you can see there, it's not hitting at all. But we spin it back around, and it is hitting. Alright, so now that we've made sure that our blade can be serviced, we're going to go ahead and place it in the jig. You kind of want to line the center hole up. I'll go ahead and show it from another angle here in a second. Line the center hole up, and you simply begin to tighten. And you want to make sure that all 4 of those set screws we pointed out at the beginning of the video are just above the surface of the blade. So it makes sure that the vise has a nice grip. And as you can see, it's not going anywhere. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this from the front now. You want to make sure you tighten it down. And as you can see here, this isn't going anywhere. These 4 screws are just above the surface of the actual blade. And now you're ready to begin sharpening. Always make sure you got proper ventilating so you can breathe, safety glasses, and ear protection. Let's go ahead and start sharpening some blades. Now we're going to flip it over and do the other side. So now we got it sharpened up a little bit. Let's go ahead and start fine tuning it in. We're going to go ahead and throw it on the Magnamatic and see what happens. Make sure it's on there good. You just kind of want to let it do its thing. Alright, so obviously this blade is not yet ready. Need it to be like that. More than likely it's going to come to a stop, as you can see right about there. So we'll go ahead and throw it back in the grip and get back to sharpening a little bit more. We're going to pop it off the wall here, place it back on to the mount. Let's go ahead and take a little bit more metal off. Alright, so according to what the balancer was telling me, this is the side that actually should have been a little heavier. I just knocked that one off because I want to take a couple more blemishes off the metal. So, let's go ahead and throw it back on there and see what happens. So obviously this isn't really the part that's the most fun about doing this. It is very tedious work, but it's how you get a good cut. It's one of the cheapest ways to make sure that your lawn stays healthy, is to make sure that your blades are sharp. They're not tearing the grass blades. You want them to cut it, slice it like a scissor. If you tear your grass blades, you're gonna notice that your yard will actually start turning brown, versus if you had actually sharpened them, you would get a good quality, consistent cut every time. So let's go ahead and pop this off and get back to sharpening. Alright guys, so here we have the blade. It is finely balanced. Go ahead and pull it down just a little bit, and I'll let it balance itself back out as I finish up this video. So all you need to do now basically is repeat this process 3 times. You want to ensure that your blades are serviceable before you actually service them. So that first step I showed you, where I double checked to make sure with this gauge here that they were properly balanced. Not balanced, but I should say serviceable, I guess. You want to do that with every blade before you actually start the whole sharpening process. And we'll go ahead and talk about the grinder here a little bit. This is just a cordless 20-volt DeWalt that I picked up, and I use, let's do one of the blades on it. I use the metal grinding blade. I just pick up a whole bunch of those whenever I go to Lowe's. They work great. They get the metal off a little bit faster versus if you were using one of these actual DeWalt flat disc. Couldn't think of the name of it for a second. So pick a couple of those up. Definitely speeds up the process, these actual metal grinding blades versus a flat disc. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. The next step obviously is just throwing the blades back on the mower. If you guys got something out of this, that's the point of it. Hopefully you learned something. Maybe you didn't know that your blades had to be balanced. Again, I guess that's just a matter of opinion. I prefer my blades to be balanced. But like I said, if you guys took something out of this video, hit the subscribe button. I genuinely appreciate it. And I hope you guys keep watching. Thanks. Take care. See ya.